Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get straight to the insights you actually need. Today, we're tackling something really relevant if you, like me, spend most of your time navigating a city. The big question is, are electric city cars, these smaller DVs, really an opportunity for us urban dwellers? We're going to use the Italian experience as a kind of case study here, looking at some surprising facts and, well, practical things that could genuinely change your daily commute.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, we've gathered quite a bit of material. We're looking at expert analyses on urban mobility trends, detailed breakdowns of the Italian EV incentives, or maybe more accurately, the shifts in those incentives recently, and also direct insights into, the specific perks of these compact electric vehicles.
Right. So our mission today is pretty clear. Give you a shortcut, help you get informed about how an electric city car might make urban life, well, simpler, definitely more convenient, and maybe even a bit more fun. We'll pull out the important stuff so you don't have to wade through everything yourself. Okay, so this idea of urban freedom, let's unpack that. What are the specific, tangible ways these electric city cars are making a difference right now?
Well, it's actually quite transformative in some ways. We see it clearly in one of our sources talking about the advantages in Italy. For example, many Italian cities grant electric cars free access to limited traffic zones, the ZTLs. These areas, often historic centers where regular cars face restrictions or need permits. With an EV, often, no more detours, no worrying about those fines if you accidentally stray in. I mean, picture just zipping right into the city center while others are stuck circling around.
That's huge. Beyond just avoiding traffic jams or fines, what about the stress? Does that predictability change how you feel about driving in the city?
Oh, absolutely. That stress reduction is a major factor. You gain this feeling of control back. And it gets better. Think about pollution-related traffic blocks. When other cars might be restricted, EVs often get exceptions. They can usually keep moving. So, no more anxiety on those smog alert days. It really adds a layer of calm predictability, even when the city feels chaotic.
So it's not just about the environment, the clean air aspect. It's about reducing your own sort of daily friction.
Precisely. And look, for city dwellers, this next one, this really hits the wallet and the schedule. Many Italian cities offer free parking in those blue-striped paid parking zones for electric vehicles. Think about the money saved over time, sure, but also just the time saved. No more endlessly hunting for a cheap spot or rushing back to feed a meter. It adds up incredibly fast.
Okay, these are definitely not minor perks. They sound like they fundamentally change the whole experience of driving in a city, making it smoother, less stressful. And beyond these specific rules, these policies, what about the cars themselves? What makes them intrinsically good for cities?
That's a great point, because the policies often build on these inherent advantages. Our source on the future of European urban mobility highlights this. We're talking obviously about reduced air pollution, but also noise pollution. That's a big one. The quietness of electric motors. It doesn't just benefit the driver, it makes the whole city soundscape more pleasant. And, well, the size. Many of these city cars are really compact. They're just perfect for navigating narrow streets, squeezing into tight parking spots. It aligns perfectly with ideas like sustainable urban planning and these proximity cities people talk about.
Right, so it's a win for the driver, their budget, and the city's general livability. That's quite a combination.
It really is. One crucial caveat, though. While these benefits are pretty widespread in Italy, you absolutely must check your local city or town's specific rules. ZDL access, parking exemptions. They can, and sometimes do, vary from one municipality to another. Always double-check the local government website.
Good advice. Local details matter. Okay, so knowing these advantages, the natural next question is, what kind of cars are we actually talking about? You mentioned variety. What does that look like?
Yeah, there's a surprising range. Our Energico source gives some great examples, like you've got the Eli Zero or the Eli Zero Plus. These are interesting because they can be driven by kids as young as 14 with an AM license, the moped license category. They're designed to be smart, have the essential features, 2 seats. Pretty fun, actually. Imagine that for a teenager needing some urban independence,
Yeah.
getting around without relying on parents.
That is clever. A neat way to get younger people into EVs early. What else?
Then you have things like the ZD series. There's the D1, D2, D2S, and the D2S M1. The ZDD1 is kind of your basic city runabout, power steering, AC, parking sensors, about 100-kilometer range,
Yeah.
standard stuff. Then the D2 and D2S step it up a bit. They can be driven from 16 with a B1 license, which covers quadricycles. And the D2S M1, that was actually a Category M1 vehicle, so it meets passenger car standards, good for city and highway use. It shows a clear progression in capability.
So you can kind of grow with the options depending on your age or needs changing over time.
Exactly. Then there's something really unique, the Estremabire. Its main feature, no doors. It's all about experiencing the city without barriers, as they say. Open roof too, definitely for a specific lifestyle, maybe someone who really wants to feel connected to the city vibe.
Huh, no doors. That sounds incredibly open, almost like a protected scooter, especially on a nice day.
Right, and then there's the Silent SO4, super compact, just under 2.3 meters long, about 1.3 wide, very nimble, seats two comfortably, surprisingly decent luggage space, 247 liters. But here's the really interesting bit for charging. Removable, swappable batteries. You can literally take the battery out, carry it inside to charge, or swap it for a fresh one.
Whoa, removable batteries. That's fascinating. Are there downsides like lugging batteries around, needing space for a spare? How practical is that day to day?
It's a fair question. Yeah, you need space for a spare if you want instant swaps, and you need a convenient place to charge it at home or work. It's not for everyone. But think about people in apartments with no dedicated parking or charging spot. This could be a real solution. And as battery tech improves lighter, denser batteries, it could become even more practical, maybe even standardized swapping stations down the line. It offers flexibility. Lastly, for those wanting maybe a bit more space, a more car-like feel, maybe even an SUV style that's still city-friendly, there's the XEV IEV7s. Shows that electric city car doesn't just mean tiny microcars.
That really drives home the point about diversity. Seems like there's an electric city option for almost every niche, from 14-year-olds to highway commuters. Okay, let's pivot to something really practical. The money side, incentives. This seems like where things have been, well, shifting quite a bit, especially looking at Italy for 2025. It can feel confusing.
It has been dynamic, definitely. Our Powy energy source lays out the recent changes quite clearly. Essentially, as of 2025, the main national incentive, the eco-bonus, that direct subsidy you got when buying a new EV, well, that specific program ended after its 2024 run. Now, this decision caused a fair bit of debate, naturally, but there's a stated strategy behind it.
Okay, so that straightforward national cashback for everyone buying an EV isn't there in the same way anymore. Why the big change? What was the thinking?
Well, the government's stated reason is primarily economic and strategic. The concern was that public money was heavily subsidizing cars made outside the EU, specifically mentioning China. So the idea promoted by figures like Economy Minister Giorgetti was to shift focus. Instead of direct consumer subsidies across the board, the plan is to invest in strengthening the domestic auto industry. Support EU production, battery manufacturing in Italy, build charging infrastructure, make Italy more of a hub for electric mobility. That's the goal.
Right, so less direct cash for the buyer up front in that old model, but a bigger, longer-term play for the industry itself. That makes
Yeah.
sense strategically, even if it feels different for the consumer. But what does this actually mean for someone listening now thinking about buying an electric city car? Are there still ways to get support?
Yes, definitely. That's the key takeaway. The door isn't closed. First off, many Italian regions like Lombardy, South Tyrol, others still offer their own local subsidies. These can be for both the EV itself or sometimes for installing a home charger. Which brings up that point again. Have you checked your local government's website recently? These regional incentives can be really significant.
That's crucial. Then don't just look nationally, look locally.
Yeah.
Are there any common traps when looking for these regional funds, or is it usually straightforward?
Generally, the regional websites are pretty clear. The main trap is just not knowing they exist. People often assume national schemes are the only option. So seriously, a quick search for electric car incentives plus your region's name is a really smart move. And there's more good news, actually. An important update. New national funding has been allocated, about 600 million euros. These funds will become available from September 2025. But they're targeted. They're aimed specifically at individuals with lower IZ ratings, that's the economic status indicator in Italy, and also at microenterprises. The grants can be quite substantial, up to 11,000 euros for individuals, 20,000 for microenterprises. But, and this is key, you have to scrap an older polluting vehicle, Euro 03, to qualify.
Ah, okay. So it's targeted support plus an environmental angle getting older cars off the road.
Yeah.
That's quite clever.
Exactly. It tackles multiple goals at once. And looking even bigger picture, the EU itself is apparently studying the introduction of harmonized incentives across all member states. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz even mentioned the idea of uniform purchase premiums, EU-wide. Now, that's still under discussion, but a unified European approach. That could be a major boost down the line. And of course, don't forget other financial tools. Things like long-term rental or leasing are popular ways to manage the initial cost without needing subsidies.
Okay, so it's definitely a changing picture, but the message is stay informed, look locally, check eligibility for targeted funds, and explore leasing. Opportunities are still there, just maybe structured differently.
Absolutely, and you can't talk EVs without talking charging. Our Powi energy source really emphasizes how vital infrastructure is. Powi runs Italy's leading independent public charging network, and what's really notable is they state it's powered by 100% renewable energy. Plus, they focus on placing chargers strategically, where people actually need them, especially in cities. This kind of private investment is crucial.
That's great to hear about companies like Powi stepping up. It really connects to that bigger vision for cities we were discussing, right? It's the whole ecosystem, not just the car.
Exactly. And that ties back nicely to the report on the future of European urban mobility. It clearly flags electrification of transport as a key trend. Why? Well, the obvious reasons. Lower emissions, less air and noise pollution, moving away from fossil fuels. But the report is also realistic. It acknowledges the lack of infrastructure can be a barrier, and it recommends cutting through red tape, removing administrative obstacles to speed up putting in new solutions, like charging points, maybe through pilot projects.
So policymakers are aware of the charging challenge and are actively looking for ways to fix it. That's encouraging.
Yes, and this is where those electric city cars really shine, fitting into the vision of sustainable urban planning and proximity cities.
Hmm.
They're almost perfectly suited for that 15-minute city concept, where essentials are a short walk, bike ride, or, yes, a quick EV trip away. They help reduce the overall need for larger cars, cutting congestion, making cities just, well, nicer places to be.
It really feels like electric city cars aren't just another vehicle option anymore. They're becoming a key piece of building smarter, greener, more livable cities, right at the forefront of urban evolution. So, wrapping this up, what does it all mean for you listening? We've covered a lot. From the tangible benefits like ZTL access and free parking, to understanding the shifting incentive landscape and seeing how these cars fit into a bigger vision for our cities, it seems clear they offer more than just transport. It's a potential lifestyle upgrade, really tailored for urban living.
I think what's really fascinating is how these aren't just greener cars. They're genuinely practical solutions designed for the specific challenges and opportunities of city life. It aligns perfectly with that European push for mobility that's inclusive, safe, accessible, and sustainable. It shows how our individual choices can actually link up with these larger goals.
Definitely. And the road ahead for cities and how we move around them, it's exciting, changing fast. Maybe something to think about is this. As our cities keep evolving, how will your own commute, your transport choices, fit into this electric shift? How might you benefit or even contribute? What role will you play? We really enjoy bringing these deep dives to you, and honestly, your support makes it possible. If you found this useful, if you enjoyed exploring this with us, please do take a second to hit that like button and maybe subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps us keep digging into the topics that matter and answering your questions in future deep dives. Thanks for listening.